What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So the other day I was listening to a speech given by Tyler Perry at Joel Osteen's church, and it was a very, very moving speech from Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry is the guy who does Medea, all these movies that are real funny and stuff. I mean, and he owns his own studio. So, but anyway, Tyler Perry is a very, very good orator. He was very, very well spoken. His points were very heartwarming. But he said something at the end of that speech that really hit home to me, and I want to say a little bit about it, and I want to put my own little take on it. So Tyler Perry said, sometimes people come into your life, they're only meant to be there for a season. He said some people are like boosters on a rocket. When you get to a certain altitude, they fall off. And some of us in our lives try to keep people in our lives for the entirety of our lives when they were only meant to be there for a season. And that really hit home to me. And I want to touch on that today about, having people in your life that elevate you, right? I have personally had many, many friends, I would say in the last 5 years, that have fell by the wayside, and I don't really talk to anymore. I talk to them very rarely. Matter of fact, excuse me, guys, my allergies making my nose itch. But having people in my life, I've had many people in my life that were only meant to be here for a season, and now they have fell off. And they're not in my life anymore. And, I don't really feel bad that they've left. I don't feel bad that I don't talk to them very, very much anymore, or at all, really. Because that's the nature of things. Life goes on, and, you prioritize people in your life for how they, for what they bring in your life. So I guess what I'm getting at is that people who come into your life, who support you, who have your back, who, are your ride or dies, that never fail to be there for you and tell you the truth, give you the harsh truth sometimes, and let you hold things, whether they're good or bad, and let you, that are real with you, basically, that are real with you. Those people you should keep in your life for a long time, for a long haul, because those kinds of people, especially today, guys, is very, very rare. It's very rare that you meet people who are up front, tell you the truth, who have your back, and are willing to, stay there and be with you and help you through life. And you have a symbiotic relationship between each other where you give some, you take some, and they give some, and they take some, and just things work out that way. And that's how relationships are supposed to be at the end of the day. Both friendships, romantic relationships, all that stuff is a lot of give and take, and honesty and commitment on both parties, ends of that. So if you have people to come into your life, and you enjoy them for a while, but they're not completely giving you what you need. I ain't gonna say giving you what you need, but they're not helping you move forward in life. Or even in the case of a lot of people these days, they're holding you back. Because a lot of people these days will get into a relationship with you of some kind, just enough to use you for some means, and then, when that means is satisfied from another source, then they discard you. There's a lot of users, a lot of abusers. There's a lot of people living off their good behavior for a while, and then you see their real colors later on, kind of thing goes on in this world. Nobody's real up front. And that's where longevity kind of plays into that, right? So the longer you're around somebody, the more you're interacting with this person, eventually they're going to run out of good behavior. Eventually they're going to have to reveal their true self to you. And then, just make sure that, guys, you vet the people in your life appropriately. Like, you need to have people in your life that motivate you, that inspire you, and are honest with you. And, it ain't necessarily, hey, man, can you give me a hand all the time? And if you don't, then we're just not friends. It's literally people who call and check up on you, you know, people who will communicate back and answer your text. If you text somebody and they text you back, you know, you say, hey man, I'm busy, whatever. And, you know, you can understand that, but it's what I'm getting at is that you need to vet people in your life, because not everybody's meant to be in your life forever. There's very few, you're going to have very, very few lifelong people that stay with you from when you meet them to when when you die. There's very, very few, or when they die, in my case, because I've outlived quite a few of my lifelong friends. But here's what I'm getting at. Me personally, guys, I make friends usually with the older generation of people. Most of my friends, you know, that have stuck with me through thick and thin were older generation guys. You know, just now recently have I started investing my time into younger people, trying to show them what I've learned from the older generation, trying to be a bridge between how the older generation lived and how the newer generation should try to model themselves after. Because there's a lot of morality and there's a lot of work ethic that died in between the two ages, between the age groups, you know. So I take it upon myself to try to pull the younger generation under my wing and try to help them understand that, you know, how relationships really work. And it ain't all about what you can get from somebody. It's about how you can move through life together as a team, or as, you know, friends. If you're friends, how you and your friends, you know, can give and take from each other and make each other's lives easier, better, you know, and this, that, and the other. So I guess what I'm getting at is that, you know, I personally had an older generation of friends, and most of them nowadays have passed on. And but being friends with the older generation of men has taught me a lot, because they lived their lives and they had a lot of regrets, a lot of them, and they had a lot of lessons that they could teach me. And through their lessons, I've learned not to make my own mistakes. Now, that's not saying that I didn't do things on my own that they told me that I was making a mistake, and I was just like, and I did it anyway, and then I regretted it because they were right to start with. But, you know, I vetted these people and these older generation guys because they had something to show me. They had something to give me, and that was knowledge, and that was experience, and that helped me change for who I am as a person. But on top of that, it also helped me pass on to the next generation the best parts of morality, work ethic, outlook on life that they shared with me, that I can pass on to the next generation of people, or the younger generation of people that I interact with now. You know, honor, integrity, strength, resolve, all of those things. So, you know, it's just, you know, make sure that when you are letting people influence you in your life, that it's a positive influence. And make sure, guys, that you're not just letting people run you over, use you for whatever they can use you for, and then throw you away like some empty husk when it's all said and done, when they've used you all up. Because people will do that. Especially nowadays, man, it's a very common thing for somebody to, you know, like everybody now is a narcissist. Everything you hear is he was a narcissist or she was a narcissist, and they have narcissistic traits, blah, 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 blah. And basically what it boils down to is just most people are so selfish, they're not willing to give. They just want to take. And that's not how relationships work in any form. Any form of relationship you have has to be some give and some take. And you have to sacrifice. I ain't gonna say sacrifice, but you have to give them something and they have to take something, you know, or they, and you also have to take and they have to give. And that's the symbiotic relationship that makes relationships work. And when you don't, when you're in a relationship with somebody, romantically or just a friendship or an acquaintance, if it's more work for you and you're not getting anything out of it, then it's a one-way relationship. And now there comes times when you have to give 80 and they have to give, and they can only give 20. And there's times when you can only give 20 and they have to give 80. That's life, you know, ups and downs. But the thing is, though, is that you can't give 100 and they give you nothing. You can't do 90-10. Because if it's constantly you're giving 90% and they're constantly giving you 10% back, then that's not a relationship. They're using you. And so don't let yourself get used, guys. Make sure that when you're interacting with people and that you're letting people in your life, that the ones that are there for the long haul are the ones that are elevating you and pushing you and supporting you and have your back. And you know in your heart of hearts that that person will be there and be honest and be sincere 100% of the time. And that person can also in turn rely on you to be honest, sincere, and be there 100% of the time. And if that is not the case, then those people are only in your life for a season, and you need to let those people come in your life, influence what good they can influence, and then depart, because that's very much how the world is nowadays. You have very few lifelong partners and, lifelong friends, and that's just how it is, guys. So, like I said, really, really, really vet who you let stay in your life over the long haul, because trust me from experience, guys, that some people that you've let in your life that are only meant to be there for a season, and you let them be for longer than that, they ended up really hurting you in the end. And trust me from experience, I'm telling you that. I've let people in my life that were only meant to be here for a little while to teach me some lessons, and they were meant to go, and I kept them around and fought to stay friends with them or whatever, keep them in my life. And I really just couldn't bear the fact that they would be out of my life. And at the end of the day, it ended up costing me something. It costed me something. It cost me peace of mind. It cost me money, something. It costed me something. And that's not how it should have been. So it was on me, my mistake, that I didn't let those people leave my life when I should have let them, when they were inevitably supposed to leave, and I fought to keep them. So just guys, remember, like I said, let people come into your life. Sometimes people can't be with you all the time because you're constantly changing. You're changing as life goes on. And like Tyler Perry said, some people are just like boosters on a rocket. Once you reach a certain altitude, the boosters fall off. And the reasons why they fall off is because they can't follow you to the altitudes that you're going. And they can't follow you where you're going because they don't have the capacity to. So guys, don't let people hold you down, because if if you're going to a new set of heights and these people can't follow you, they either fall off or they drag you down, and you can't let them drag you down. So anyway, guys, that's just a comment for today. That's just something that's been on my mind. That YouTube speech that Tyler Perry gave, you can look it up. It's Joel Osteen, his church, and Tyler Perry gave the speech. It was a very beautiful speech, very, very enlightening, and how his thought process and who he is, very, very inspirational. So if you get a chance to check that out, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll talk to you next time. Later.